Hello everyone, welcome back to MU Reports, and today we'll be talking about the SGA, and we are here with the SGA president, Mr. Carsen Sanchez, and he'll be talking to us about the SGA, the Student Government Association. Thank you so much for talking to MU Reports.
Thanks for having me on. It's great to be here.
Okay, so you have been the SGA president for almost a semester now. How has the journey been so far?
It's been challenging. The whole executive board and myself have never actually served on the executive board, so it's been a real learning curve for us. But I think we've grown after about a month into it. We kind of learned what we were doing, and we figured things out, and we started to pick up our pace. And it's nice to see the growth in what we've done.
Wow, that's so interesting. So has it been something that you always wanted to do?
In high school, no, and coming into college, barely. It took a real turnaround for me around the end of high school for me to want to be actively involved on campus, but around sophomore, junior year, I kind of realized I wanted to be more involved with SGA, and we took that step last year and we ended up here.
Okay, so there are lots of students on this campus who would like to be applying for the same position that you are now, to be the SGA president, but they actually don't know what the actual job is. What exactly do you do as the SGA president?
So my job is to be responsible for the actions and directions of the SGA, right? And on top of that, I'm supposed to act as a liaison between the student body and the administration. So every time I'm in a meeting with them or I have any sort of interaction with them, I represent all 1,800 students or so that we have on campus, or not on campus, but at Methodist University. Okay,
and also there are speculations that the SGA actually doesn't have real power to make changes when it comes to policies and things that affect the student body. What would you say about that?
Well, I mean, of course we can't snap our fingers and make a change. We don't make the policy, right? From that standpoint, we are an advocacy group. But I mean, what's the university's main source of revenue? What's their way of funding our activities? It's through the students, right? We are what fund the university. So they have to listen to us to some extent. They have to take our input, and it's shown this semester too. Dr. Worden has been very, very engaging with us. He's listened to us, and we're very optimistic about actually our ability to affect policy change this year.
Has the SGA made any changes on this campus?
Specifically to policy, not necessarily. No, we are looking in a very optimistic direction with the attendance policy. We know it's in committee with our faculties, and that we might be getting a delineation between excused absences and unexcused absences for athletes, which is very exciting. Some of the stuff we've done on campus, however, would be running homecoming, which was a huge task. We've also upped that budget. We did the policy survey, which is to gather all that information, which we can now present to Dr. Worden. We did a night walk with Dr. Worden and other senior officials from the university, and we sent them a list of, we're about to talk to them, actually I take that back, we were about to talk to them about 5 specific things that we're concerned with, and we hope to see those things changed. And from that night walk, we also got about 5 new streetlights that are going to come onto campus. We have, and then other various lighting fixtures on campus too for our darker areas.
Okay, so in the event that Dr. Worden or the administration rejects SGA's proposal, what happens?
Well, from that point, we just move forward. We'll find something else to do. That's all there is to it. I mean, if he rejects it, we can continue to advocate for it. We can continue to press for it. We're never going to be able to snap our fingers and change it, which, it's disheartening to me. It's frustrating. And, I'm sure to a lot of other people it is too. But the fact of the matter is we can't make that change ourselves. We have to have cooperation from the senior officials and Dr. Ward.
Oh, okay. So why should the student trust the SGA to represent them?
Well, because there's 20 of us to about 2,000 of them for each senator, right? There's about 100 students that they're responsible for. That's a very good dispersion, I guess you could say, for representation. You can trust us because we're working hard. You can trust us because a lot of us are very dedicated to what we do. I know for me personally, this is my number one thing. If I come out of college and say I did one thing right, I want it to be that I did really well in SGA. So I think there are a lot of other people who share that same belief. There are a lot of other people who care about how far SGA goes. I guess that's why you can trust us, is because we care.
Wow, that's so interesting. So there is a survey going around the campus about policy changes, about the dry campus and allowing alcohol on campus. Even as a freshman, I remember doing the same thing. I remember signing my signature, writing my name down for this same policy, and nothing happened. Why is this one different?
Well, this one is specifically policy focused. The other ones have been student satisfaction focused and other, like a bunch of other stuff mixed in with it. This one we went in with the intention of asking very specific questions about the policies. So we don't just ask, do you agree with the policy, right? We ask, do you believe that students who are 21 years or older should be allowed to drink alcohol in their dorms? And those questions are also asked to a specific group. So they're not asked to commuter students. They're asked to residential students, right? And commuter students get different questions from there too. This survey was very unique in that sense. And we also have new officials, so we can also expect different answers from them too. So we're more optimistic because things have changed since our freshman year, and the policy survey that we did was policy-centric and asked like very, very specific questions in there too.
Okay, so should the student be hopeful that their answers will actually get to the president, like the president of the Methodist University?
We have a meeting Monday at 4 p.m. where we will talk to him about the results of the survey, so that the answers will definitely get to the president. In terms of being optimistic about change, we are optimistic about the attendance policy.
Okay.
Other policies we're cautiously optimistic about. We don't want to give off this image that it never will be changed, but they're difficult to change.
Wow.
And it's frustrating, as I said before, but we have to continue to advocate for it because, 5 years down the road when they do change, or however long, maybe if it's next year down the road, right? They need to see it year over year that we care about this and that it is a big deal to us. Because when we go into rooms and we talk about, hey, what don't you like about Methodist? What's driving you away? It's, we hate the alcohol policy. We hate visitation, but it takes about 5 minutes to get to that. Yeah. It's like, the parking's not that great. It's hard to walk to class. And then like, what do you guys think about alcohol? I hate it. So it takes that good, it takes that comfort in knowing that people around you think similarly and that you're not the only one who believes that the policy is bad. So we need to encourage students to be comfortable enough to advocate in that sense.
Wow, that's awesome. You guys are doing a great job.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Let me see. Okay. So usually the Student Government Association, like in previous years, I don't know if it's every 2 years, they used to bring in an artist on campus, right? And this year, something different happened. Like, what actually happened?
So we get every 2 years, where every year we take a little bit out of the student activity fee to save up for our concert budget, right?
Yeah.
We throw on a concert every 2 years. The number that we got this year was slightly below what we would have hoped for who we could have gotten. Okay. And the people we were looking at getting weren't exciting. They weren't as exciting as T-Pain and Hunter Hayes and We the Kings. Like, that was a fantastic concert. I think if we could throw that again, we might. But it came down to the 3 reasons why we chose not to do a concert this year, and we're gonna allocate the budget differently, and we're gonna find a better way to spend the money. The 3 reasons were that it was one night. It's 2 hours worth of time to spend a good amount of money on. That was one. The second was that we weren't expecting the same turnout as we had in years past because we couldn't get the same artists that were of that quality, right? And then lastly, there were so many alternatives that we could have done too. So we have 2 negatives where it's like we can't do this and this, but the third reason being that we have so many alternatives is a really big positive. We can do a lot of different things with that money, and we can impact change throughout a whole semester or a whole year, as opposed to just for 2 nights or for 2 hours in one night. Okay. So it wasn't that we just were like, no, we don't want to have a concert. Of course, we'd love to have a concert. We'd love to bring on those really cool artists, but it's too much of a risk for us to take that we don't get a fantastic artist. We're not even a fantastic artist, just T-Pain and Hunter Hayes. It's too much of a risk for us to take on that sense. Okay.
Do you think that the way the decision was taken, like in terms of a lot of students didn't even know that, like what you just explained, personally, what I heard was that because the SGA doesn't have a lot of money and they don't want to bring in a low quality artist like before, so they decided to just spend that money on something else. Don't you think that it would have been more effective if the students were consulted, in terms of either through a survey for them to choose whether or not they want that to happen?
No, that's a very good point. I've heard that too. What the problem is with that is that there are information gaps, right? The SGA was informed on what the budget size was, and we can't have every student being aware of that. It's too much information for everybody to comprehend. When you sit down, you can have a lesson and know about every little bit of it. We can talk to the SGA about it. But we can't ask the students whether or not they want to have a concert because at the end of it, they don't know who we can bring in. Because when I go into Village House, the golf house, and I ask them, hey, what do you guys think about it? They go, well, why don't we just bring on J. Cole? He's from Fayetteville. Can't do that. J. Cole he's well without our budget, and he's not going to come to Methodist University. And the expectation that they have with that concert is really high. And they imagine that we can do a lot more with what we actually have. So we couldn't ask the students in that sense because they don't have enough information. Now, the way any government works nowadays is through representation, right?
Right.
And as I said before, we have 100 students to one senator. I think that's a really good ratio. I mean, I can almost name 100 people on campus that I know, and I say hi to on a regular basis for a small campus. Those senators and the executive board too.
Yeah.
We have that relationship. We represent the students with our votes. So in reality, it wasn't a 1-to-1 vote, but they did get that representation. It wasn't that their vote went, or that their opinion went unrepresented, because in our meeting we even talked about it that we're just saying what the students want, right? We're not just going out there and saying what we want. We're going back on the feedback we've gotten.
Wow, that's so cool. So one last thing I would like to talk about is actually people who want to go into the SGA, or people who want to run for the presidency in the future. A lot of them are kind of actually skeptical. They don't know whether or not they should go for the presidency. What would you say to them?
I will tell them that it's by far the most rewarding position I've ever been a part of. I'll argue with some of my friends about it, and it's fine that they have other positions that are more rewarding. I couldn't ask for a better position on campus. That being said, if you're going to do this has to be your number one thing. This has to be above all else. This has to be what you place highest in clubs and organizations, because it's a great time commitment. Whether or not every second is doing something, you're still responsible. You're still around the clock. You need to be able to be there. And it's not as easy as it looks from the outside. I made that mistake last year. I thought this can't be that difficult. Not much goes on. I was wrong.
Was actually a lot.
It's a challenge, and it's a time commitment. And if you're willing to make that, even if you don't think you're capable of doing the leadership style of it, you'll come around to that. As long as you can devote the time to it, I recommend that everybody do this position. It's been awesome for me so far.
Okay, I have to give you this opportunity. Is there anything that you would like to say to the student body?
I'd like the students to know that your voice is being heard, and that the administration is hearing your voice, and that we've been in such good contact with them, we've had such good relations with them, that we're really optimistic about what's going on. So when you're going out there and some things aren't exactly as you see, just know that we're paying attention to those, and that the senior administration, they're all hearing that too.
Wow, that's so awesome. Thank you so much for talking to MU Report.
Thanks, sir.
We hope to see you again.
I'll be back.
Thank you, Wisdom and Carsen, for opening the wheel into the Student Government Association work. From now on, MU Reports will give updates on the SJ work in a regular section every episode. Stay tuned for more news from the student government.